All right, welcome to another episode of The Real Shot 256. And tonight we have a very exciting weekend edition evening crypto episode. So hope that you will stay tuned. We are going to talk about XRP's latest move. They've continued to be on the news and not for the best kind of reasons. And then we also have $1 billion worth of Bitcoin being moved in one transaction, and that was, I believe, earlier today, according to the probably the biggest and most legit source when it comes to whales moving their money, moving Bitcoin or any sort of crypto, really. These guys are on top of it, letting us know who's moving what and in what currencies, and from what wallet to what wallet these things are happening. So we're going to get into that. Very excited again to bring you this episode. It is the weekend as well. Hopefully you got some really cool planned out. And so wishing you, all of you guys, a great weekend and a great start to it at that. So let's get into it. Let's do a real quick market update here. We're currently sitting at 262.2 billion for the entire market cap. 24-hour volume, 61 billion in the last 24 hours. Bitcoin dominance staying steady at close to 71%, depending on where you're looking at. We do see coin market cap signaling for 70.1, and then we see TradingView actually giving us a higher number than that. BTC dominant, according to their index, it's at 73.08, down from 73.47 earlier in the week. Actually, earlier today, that is, until we saw today's sizable dip. I'm not going to call it a huge dip, but it is definitely a sizable dip, right? So this number again, just staying steady in the 70 percentile. We do think that that's going to continue to increase and see higher numbers from here, right? So let's get into a little bit more about the news and talk about what happened today. So the biggest thing so far this weekend, and this is also something that is that for those who like to tie every move to an event or sort of news in the crypto sphere. Whenever the price of Bitcoin goes up or down, people are always very quick to attach that to some sort of news or event. And we do see here that this sort of thing is something that would normally inflate the price or send Bitcoin on a parabolic move. And we see that that's just simply not the case. Again, this channel, we've been preaching about how you shouldn't really do that if you want to be a good investor. If you want to, especially if you want to trade a market such as cryptocurrencies, you really should not be paying attention to this sort of thing, but because it's the sort of thing that will get you, caught on the wrong direction of a trade, right? So you don't want that. You don't want to, tie any sort of movement in price to any sort of news, because again, we see it here now. A lot of people, you're going to hear this a lot because I've been looking at pretty much several media outlets calling for this particular move of $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. That this transaction was actually sent from an unknown wallet over to a Bakkt owned wallet, right? Very significant here. Bakkt actually launched their warehousing solution here today, right? Today was the official launch. Now you can start sending Bitcoin over to their wallet and they'll store it for you safely, right? So this piece of news and the fact that Bakkt is opening to the public today should have, for those who believe in that sort of thing, should have launched the price of Bitcoin to oblivion, right? We should have hit 20,000 again. But we see that Bitcoin actually corrected, right? We see a big dip here, and actually let's put a movement on this thing. Let's put a measurement on this thing. Let's see where it. So we see a 6.93% from candle from wick to wick, almost 7% on the day, right? So far, the day's not over. Actually, the day is over. This is a new daily candle here. We're looking at this new green candle here. So we ended the day on pretty red market. Anyway, this is the sort of thing that most people like to tie to a bullish reaction on the market, and instead we see an inverse reaction to what is going on, right? So again, further proof that you're going to have this sort of thing, right, happen, but you're also going to have it on the other way. I mean, these are coincidence, in my opinion. I'm telling you, I never pay attention to these sort of news, and I don't let it affect my trading. If I did, I would have. I mean, as soon as I caught wind of this, I would have gone and probably entered into a trade, and then voila, a couple minutes later, we see Bitcoin just doing this crap, right? It's an awful way to trade the market. Awful. Just so my best advice to you guys, you can do whatever you want. This is not financial advice. However, we see it here time and again. And again, we do also see time and again that these things sort of correlate. We do see coincidental circumstances and this sort of thing happening all the time. But just know it's. I mean, these things are nothing but a coincidence. Don't think of it as anything else. Don't overanalyze it, and just don't feed into the bull crap that you hear through your Facebook account, through your Twitter account, your crypto Twitter, whatever. It's just not a very good way to do things, especially if you're trading these markets. Okay. And then the other thing that we talked about in previous videos is XRP still being. People are still talking about XRP being manipulated by Ripple, the company, or not manipulated, but just really purposefully dumping on the market and creating a big pressure downward on the price of XRP. And we did a video on that. If you want to look at my last video from Tuesday, you guys can go back and look at that. And basically, the conversation was about how XRP has always been transparent with their business practices from the beginning. I mean, if you look at the white paper or their version of their white paper, you can see clearly that this is scheduled from the beginning. I mean, there's a clear notion that XRP will perform these transfers from their escrow account onto the market, and that creates an inflation rate, and it also creates pressure on the price, downward pressure on the price of XRP. Now, if you knew that and you knowingly invested in XRP, then there's nothing really to say. There's nothing really to debate. Now, let me bring this over a little outside perspective. So, let me ask you this: do you guys know of any company from traditional markets, any publicly traded company, dumping common stock onto the market on a regular basis with a schedule? I mean, do you guys know of a company that just creates more common stock and consistently dumps it on its investors? Do you guys know of anybody doing that? You see the buybacks, which is the opposite. Stock buybacks, it's the opposite. It has the opposite effect of it. Now, are there any companies? I certainly have not heard of any. Do companies issue stock from time to time? Yes, they do. Whenever they want to raise more capital, they do that. Uber lately has been doing that, right? However, look at Uber. If you guys want to, that's now we have to do this. Okay, so let's look at Uber, and I believe that's the right one, right? Now, Uber has been doing that, right? They've been reissuing their stock. Yeah, that's the right one. Okay, so they've been reissuing more stock to raise more capitals, and you see what's going on. Not only that, I mean, the fact that they're losing money, their earnings report to show that they've been losing money, and so, but here you go. There, whether that's all caused by them reissuing more public stock, I don't believe that's the whole reason, but there is something to say that. I mean, any investor that sees that and they're constantly reissuing stock to raise more funds to keep the company alive, that's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. So why would anyone invest in something that has 25% fixed. Okay, keyword here, 25% fixed inflation rate on such thing as an XRP, right? In traditional markets, that just doesn't happen. If you had somebody say XRP was trading in the Nasdaq or the S&P, I don't think would ever do that, but say that it does hypothetically, would traditional investors, educated traditional investors who've been doing this thing for a while, do you think they would invest in XRP? Probably not. Knowing the fundamentals, knowing how they operate, knowing that they are dumping common stock onto the market every month to the tune of a couple $100 million, my bet is I would short that all day long, every day, and I'd be rich. All right. So I don't want to spend too much time on that, but just want to, definitely touch upon that because this is the sort of thing that's been going on again in the news, and I can't neglect that. So anyway, that's what it is. And I told you guys also, not a prediction, but I told you guys we're going to come back and retest 26 cents, lower 26 cents. We actually went a little further below that. All right. So, and again, that's just because Bitcoin is dumping and sucking the life out of a lot of altcoins. So, let's talk about that too, but we're not going to get into too many altcoins. I want to keep this one brief. I know you guys want to get to your weekend. So let's get into the mother of all cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin. And let's take a quick look at the chart. Now, another mention I want to make, sometimes, this is TA, right? This channel also, we concentrate on the TA side of things as well. And sometimes we make right calls, sometimes we make awful calls. I'm not here to say that I am the best TA guy and I always get them right, because it's truly not. I mean, a lot of it has to do with luck. A lot of it has to do with, just overall market, doing market things, right? There's no better way to explain it. It's just doing what it's doing. So anyway, what I was telling you guys a couple of videos ago, if you go back to my Monday video, which is right here, Bitcoin adoption rises, IMF to bail out Argentina again, is this a pump? If you guys go back and look at this video and look at from 19th minute on forward, I was telling you guys about this. I was doing something that I don't typically do, but it was pretty obvious, right? So we've been telling you guys that Bitcoin has been forming these bear flags and then resolving like they should, right? Forming bear flag after bear flag on this trend and then resolving like they should. And then we did again. We're forming this bear flag, but then we broke out, right? So that was sort of the wrong call to make. However, these sort of things happen, right? But it was forming a bear flag. Usual resolution would have been for it to actually break downwards, right? So it went on the contrary. Now, but again, I was telling you guys, watch this thing because it could ultimately again form another bear flag, and we do see it here. We actually saw that it formed another bear flag here on the 4-hour, and it actually resolved to the downside, right? So, and that's just nothing more than the behavior, right? The trend that we're in, and just resolving like it should, really. All right, so sort of a rising wedge here, but ultimately had the characteristics of a bear flag, and we do see it actually resolving. So bear flag, boom, bear flag, boom, bear flag, boom. And then we actually acted a little out of character here, but then went back into it, right? So I was telling you guys this sort of move would take a while, and it did take a while, but that was the pattern that we're seeing: bear flag after bear flag, and again, it did not disappoint. And I also was telling you guys, as long as we're trading above 10.5, right? I was telling you guys 10.5 is the key note on Bitcoin. As long as we're trading above 10.5, right around this range right here, 10.5. That's on my last video. Go back and watch it if you want. As long as we're trading above it, that we could still say that there's continuation to this run, right? So we did. Bitcoin complied with that, and then we actually went up all the way up to 10.9. So I also told you guys to start de-risking at this line of resistance, which was coming in at around 10.8 to 10.9. That's where I would start to de-risk, right? If the move continued up until it was somewhat likely for it to continue to about 11.1. Although I did say that was looking like it was pretty unlikely that that was going to happen. So I entered some sell orders at around 10.8, 10.850, and I've executed all of them. 10.8, 10.850, 10.840, in that range. I've executed all of them. I actually completely sold out of my position right here, and then watched the price of Bitcoin. Now, two things though. Two things. So we do see here this hanging man candle that is on an uptrend, and then we do see it actually forming a hanging man, which is a reversal candle. Typically, that will be a reversal candle, right? Same as we saw over here. We saw a shooting star candle on a downtrend. Again, that was another indication for me that I should be in a position with Bitcoin, because again, these usually will mean that on a downtrend, will mean a reversal, and then a hanging man on the uptrend would mean also a downward reversal, right? So if you were watching these signs more than any news, more than any outside of, or more than any outside event going on in the crypto sphere, these are the things that I was looking for reversal. Look at this hanging man, also continuation, right? The three black crows and then some. More like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 black crows on the 4 hour. So, and then you had a sharp correction, a bullish engulfing candle here, but then we failed to have continuation. But nonetheless, you know, these are the signs that I was looking for today, especially looking at the 4 hour. I could tell that this run was coming to an end. We hit resistance, and then we actually, painted a hanging man very clearly here, and so I decided to get out of it once I saw that 100%. So my last order was at 10.840 something. I think it was like 10.842, right? So pay attention to these things. They do work out a lot of the times. It's not a fail proof. It's not 100% guaranteed. But I in that case I went with the more likely scenario, and it paid off, right? Because I started buying at 10.4 really is where I started buying in again, around about this range here, about 10.4. I started making small entries back in, like say 10, 15%, maybe 20% at the most, and all the way down to about 10.2, right? That was my last entry around 10.2, and it's still smaller entries, because it could always go lower. It doesn't matter if the RSI is telling you it's oversold, it can always go lower. If somebody tells you, excuse me, somebody tells you to buy when it's oversold, there's not really such a thing, but a lot of people like to say that oversold. Not really. I mean, it could always go lower, right? It can always go lower. So where do we go from here? Well, we could form another bear flag, actually. It's the trend, right? The trend is your friend. It's been doing that. We do see here a bounce, which this is typical, right? Can this bounce hold? I don't know. We're still reassessing. We're still reassessing. Not quite a hammer candle here to really call a full-on reversal, unless we get a bullish engulfing here. We have until about 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That would be about midnight in the East Coast. If we end up painting a bullish engulfing, then we would probably get continuation, most likely. But again, I've been telling you guys for the last week or two that these bear flags are all over the place, and we could continue to do that. I mean, that is the trend, unless we break it. Until we break out of the macro trend of things. Let's actually get rid of these so we can see them. No, I actually need them. So we do have this falling wedge that usually will resolve to the positive side, right? But I do think we're going to touch the bottom of this wedge here, down around 9,400, 9,500. That seems like quite a possibility. But again, unless we break out of this top line of resistance, the descending line of resistance here painted in red, if we break out and above it, then I would say, at that point, it is a change in behavior. So we'll have to see, right? I mean, right now, it just looks like it wants to paint another bear flag, grind its way back up here into, again, the top of this resistance line, and then possibly reject from there and come back and retest 9,400, right? That's kind of what it's looking like. It's what it's been doing, right? We did see, this is a very similar dip we saw back here, right? We did see this, right? That was let's actually measure that one just to put it in context. That was about 9.3% move. This over here is about a 7% move this here. So I mean, these sort of things that so like they say, history doesn't rhyme or doesn't repeat, but it rhymes, right? So this again could be the same sort of behavior, because this is what we've been seeing. Look at that again here. Look at this bigger move. Same sort of pattern, right? We have the staff, and then we have the forming flag. Same here, staff, forming flag, staff, big flag, staff again, big flag, and then dump. So that is what I am expecting to happen. We should grind up from here into this resistance area, previous line of resistance, which will be coming in at call it 10,645, 650. That will be a next area of high interest for the shorter time of things. I do want to say that we are above the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour, which is great. Definitely want to see the price of Bitcoin stay above it. If we do break below and start opening and closing some candles, some 4 hours down below it, then we're gonna definitely come back and retest what is 9,800, and then quite possibly again come back and retest 94, 9,500. Now and I say 94 to 9,500. That's kind of where I'm looking at, because we are on an ascending trend down here with this bottom area of support in a ascending trend. So we should see this line hold up at around, call it 9,400, maybe higher, 9,500. So if the price dips to 9,400, I will be entering with more buys. Not before seeing this sort of grind upwards, and then perhaps sell at 10,650, 10,645, sell that again, and then come back and probably retest. We'll make a stop here at 9,800 for sure. That's very, very likely to happen, and then we can come back and talk about 9,400 before we do that. All right, that's all in the 4-hour. Now I want to go to the 2-hour really quick, because we did see a similar pattern. We did see a another hammer, sort of another hammer here on the 2-hour, and then obviously we weren't able to break this top line of resistance, and then we saw a reversal, right? So the 2-hour and the 4-hour were indicative and telling of what was going to happen. And then we do see it on the 3-hour actually too. We do see a sort of a hanging man, sort of a hammer, long-legged doji, whatever you want to call it. But these, anyhow you call it, these are going to be reversal candles, right? So everything was telling. It had nothing to do with the Bakkt news, had nothing to do with anything else. That's just the market being the market, and we have these tools to let us know what's going on and how to trade them. All right. If you have any questions about what I just said, definitely leave it down in the comments. Reach out to me. I'm also on Twitter at TheRealShot256, on Instagram TheRealShot256. Reach out to me. Let me know if you have any questions about what I just said. I always am willing to help you guys. I don't charge. If you are paying for a sort of signals group for something that you can do yourself, maybe you don't have the time or whatever, but it's really easy stuff. I can. I don't want to say I can coach you or mentor you, because that's not what this channel is about. I'm just here again, providing some of the stuff that I'm using to hopefully make you guys better traders. Hopefully you guys can learn a little bit about these sort of things and stop losing money and stop investing in shit coins. All right. All right, let's look at, we already looked at XRP. Let's look at Link. Now, I want to say something that is going to be contrary to what you guys are usually expecting out of me. Um, but Link I think has lost its luster for now. Definitely in the right here, in the right now. I think Link has lost its luster. It's going to struggle to get back above this line of previous line of support, which is now going to act as resistance. So we're going to change the color on that and change this color on that to represent resistance down the way up. So it's going to struggle. I mean, you got the 30 simple here, the 21 coming in confluence with this previous line of support. So I think it's going to be very hard for it to get above 176 again, 177 again. And just look at it, right? It's actually setting lower lows. That's not good. And this is a 3 hour. Let's actually look at the 4 hour. Confirm that. Yep, look at that trend on a downward trend, setting lower lows. Lost this previous low, lost this previous low, lost this previous low, completely down below every previous low, pivot low here. So definitely looking like most altcoins now. Definitely looking like the majority of the market now. So I do think, even though this is a bounce here, I do think it's going to struggle again to get back into the 177. Quite possibly reject off of there and come back and retest lower, even lower prices. The next stop in my head would be $1.44, $1.45. Right. I've painted this for you guys. I would not be trading altcoins right now, guys. I've been telling you this for a while. Link was the only one that, and Litecoin, Link, Litecoin, maybe ETH are the only ones that I was letting you guys know there are some short-term worthwhile opportunities in those coins, but for the majority of the risk and reward scenario, there are very few and far in between coins that I'd be trading aside from Bitcoin. And you guys know it's due to liquidity issues and just the high risk nature of this market that really drive me away from trading altcoins. Right. So yeah, that's in the short. I do think we're going to come back and visit 144 again, and I do think that Link has now conformed with the rest of the alt market. So I'm not going to be trading this for a while until I see a definite reversal. And why do I say that? Because here's a prime example, right? VET Chainlink, or not Chainlink, VET VeChain, right? Very hot, very popular project in the crypto sphere for a very long time. A lot of people, fundamentals, they even have contracts, they even have working solutions. They've got a partnership with Walmart. I don't know how legit or official that really is. I mean, it seems like it is an official partnership, and Walmart has started using their product to keep track of products coming in from Asia to the United States. I mean, it's as legitimate as it can get. However, look at the price, right? Now, this is very, very important. VeChain is in a very critical area. And I do think, unfortunately, we're going to continue to see this sort of same reversal macro pattern, where if we come back and retest 0.003265, which was the ultimate low here, I do think we can break it. I do think we're because again, this is the pattern that we're in. This is the overall market sentiment. This is where things are headed. Okay, so a lot of times I heard that stuff when I wasn't, let's just call it when I wasn't where I am today as far as trading knowledge and all this good stuff. I would hear the sort of situation, just kind of throw it by the wayside. Well, I was a really terrible investor back then. This definitely looks like it wants to break down, retest this prior low, and does it hold? I don't think so, guys, because again, we're on a downward trend. And I said this on Twitter earlier today. Bitcoin is squeezing the life of the alt market. It's just taking the liquidity away from alts and really gathering, stealing, or just whatever term you want to use, but it's just taking away liquidity from all of these alts, right? VeChain, I do think if it breaks down below this prior low, the all-time low, then I mean, that's just going to be very, very bad for VeChain. And I was one of those individuals who really believed in what VeChain was doing. So don't get me wrong. I thought VeChain for a while was, had enough liquidity and was a promising project. But looking at this chart, it just doesn't look like it's something that I want to put my money into. Same thing with Cardano. I mean, same exact type of thing, right? I mean, talk about twin charts, right? Look at that. Wants to retest the all-time low here. The all-time low was 0.02844, right? Does look like it wants to retest that lower area, and it does look like it could break down from there, right? Charles Hoskinson, a guy who's worked on many very important projects like Bitcoin and Ethereum, created this project mainly because he wanted interoperability in blockchains and wanted faster throughput. Wanted a lot of things that a lot of these 1.0 or first movers didn't have. And so it seemed like a very promising project. It seemed like, man, this is going to be the one to possibly take over everything in the market. And just look at the chart, right? So a lot of fundamentals, a lot of great stuff behind it, a great team behind it. However, the chart is the chart, and you can't speak against it, really. So again, this is not something I want to put my money in. And so yeah, I mean, that's best advice I can give you. All right, so I think I'm going to cut it here. Let's just look at Litecoin, and then we'll wrap it up. I'm going to leave this here because, well, actually, we already hit that. We already hit that. So again, if you go back to my videos, you can see these calls that I've been making. I left that here a while ago, and we actually hit the mark, right? We've bounced above it, so I can now actually move it apart, move it to the side here. So we've actually had a pretty good bounce, but look, it's forming a bear flag once again. The same behavior that we see with Bitcoin, bear flag kind of forming here. So we could see resolution again and retest the 61, probably even further downward. All right, so I'll leave it at that. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you get what sort of weekend you guys have planned for yourselves. If you're having fun, if you're just going to trade like me all weekend long, let me know. And again, if you have any questions about the TA, how to work this thing, definitely reach out to me. I don't charge. You shouldn't pay for this sort of thing. There's a lot of good resources on Google. You're one typed sentence away from becoming a better trader on Google or wherever you like to search. All right, guys. Hopefully you got something in exchange for your time today. I wish you the best weekend. We'll see you guys on the next video, and that's it. We'll catch up. All right, guys. Happy trading. We'll see you.